Hello,
Hi everyone.
welcome to our podcast.
Yes, another week. This is episode 2. So hope you enjoyed the first one. We did get some great feedback
We
actually.
did. Yeah, it was really good actually. So
Yeah.
hopefully you got something out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
nice.
So
Mm.
yeah, this week we thought we'd just see what's been happening the last week for each other. So Emma, did
Yeah.
you want to start?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because we just had a quick chat before we jumped on and like, oh, what are we going to talk about this week? And Haley said, well, I've got something I can talk about. And I had kind of something in the back of my mind. And she's like, yeah, it's around healing. And I was like, oh, me too. So we actually don't know what each other is going to
No.
bring up, which is really good because it's just how we normally chat and
Yeah.
intuitively coming through. But
Yeah.
it yeah, it might be a collective thing as well. I'm not sure if everyone else is feeling like they've healed something or healing something. Um, yeah, but do you want me to
Yeah, yeah.
tell
What happened
mine?
with
What
you
happened
this
with me?
week? I'm
So
intrigued.
yeah. So I went to a women's wellness workshop yesterday, which was amazing, and I was one of the facilitators. So I guided people through the beautiful women, through a meditation around self-love, healing, connection, and stepping into purpose. So that was at the start of the day. And I did that with another lovely lady, Julie. She did a bit of sound healing. So it went really well. And then I did another session talking about human design and um, energy healing. And I did a collective energy healing with everyone, walk them through that. And at the end, I just went around with the tuning fork, um, with the intention to clear their energy, and then went around with some Palo Santo with the same intention. Um, and this isn't actually the thing, but I thought I'd add this in too. One of the beautiful women later on said to me, oh, what did you do when you come around to us? And I told her, and she's like, oh, when you come around with the Palo Santo, it was, she didn't know what that was, but she's like, I could smell it. And I haven't had a sense of smell for over a year. And she's like, and now I
Wow.
can smell the coffee brewing and I
Oh
can smell all these
my
things. I know. I was just
God.
like, oh my God.
Wow. That's
It was
amazing.
so good. So yeah, that was just
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
So
That's
hopefully
so
that continues for
special.
her because that's like a
Yeah.
hard thing to not have sense of
Yeah.
smell.
Yeah. Was that since COVID
Well,
or?
I asked her that and she said no, because she said it was like she has had COVID and it was before that she lost her sense of smell. She said, unless I had it, I didn't know I had COVID. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, anyway, so that
Mm.
was pretty cool. But what I wanted to talk about was then there was other facilitators there that I sat in on, and one was doing EFT tapping. I don't know, have you done that before?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
it
So
is
powerful.
amazing. Oh, so
Yeah.
powerful. And that's what I talk about because
Yeah.
I have done a little bit, dabbled in it a bit, but this session we had to think of, it was around fear. So we had to think of a fear that we have. Um, and we had to go around the room and say our fear. And I just did the first thing that come to my mind. And it's probably not my biggest fear, but it is a fear that I have around not feeling accepted. And I think that I feel like it's more prevalent now because I am stepping into this more spiritual side. And, people might be like, oh, she's changed, she's different. And worrying that people will still accept me for who I am, even though I feel like on a day-to-day basis I'm still the same. Um, and I think a lot of people do have that around
Mm.
acceptance,
Yeah.
that fear. But anyway, as we were tapping away, and we had to go around and speak about that fear, and then we had to kind of sit with the fear. And from what Kat was saying from EFT tapping is it's around like actually bringing the fear up. You know how
Mhm.
we kind of suppress our emotions, but
Yeah.
it's sitting with it and then tapping it away.
Yeah.
So when I was sitting with it, I was like, oh, where does this come from? And what's this all about? And it come from like what come to my mind was inner child stuff, which,
Mhm.
we all have. And probably this fear of acceptance does come from inner child.
Mhm.
Um, and it's usually, you know, something that someone said, you know, just something briefly or in passing, but you've taken it on to, oh, I'm not accepted as myself. So it just, and then it sat with me that I thought, oh, well, actually, when you're a child, if you don't feel accepted by your family for who you are, then there's no one else. Like, you know, that's your world, really. But it kind of dawned on me that now as an adult, I don't need to have that fear, because there will be people out there that don't accept me for who I am, and that's totally fine, because there is so many people that do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having that realization that it is okay and not to worry about it, because people will accept me for who I am, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So that was like a big realization for me. But also straight after that, I had like this awful headache.
Yeah.
And I said to Kat, is this normal? And she's like, yeah, that's a normal side effect or symptom that you can get with tapping. And I then had really bad pains in the belly. And it was really quite intense. Like I had to, luckily that was near the end of the day, because all of a sudden I was just like, oh my God, I don't feel well.
Yeah.
And I went home and had a sleep. And I feel like sleeping really is a cleansing, healing thing, just like a quick little nap. And then I got in the shower, because I feel like water too is so
Washes
good.
it away.
Yes, all that energy. And I felt heaps better. But what I felt that was definitely that inner child. Because, you know, that sacral chakra is all inner child stuff. So I really felt like I was moving some stuff.
Yeah.
And healing.
So powerful.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow.
And
I guess it just goes to show that sometimes
healing, and, you know, we're always healing and it's always happening, but sometimes it's not easy.
That's never easy. It always feels hard.
But it was really good to sit with it and really release it. And yeah, if anyone ever wants to explore tapping, I definitely can talk about someone that I think is quite great.
It's so powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a bit of tapping in one of our courses we did together, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Trauma release, and it helped so much.
It did, and that was around ancestral healing too, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's funny, I think some of that is a bit of a collective thing that's been coming up the past week, because I've been having a bit related to that, that fear of judgment and stepping into your power, but, you know, worrying about what people think, and that sort of holds you back. And I've actually had, I think, 2 or 3 people ask me through the week that specific question: what is holding you back? What's that fear? And yeah, it definitely comes back to that fear of judgment. So that's interesting that you had that too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like we always have similar things going on, like what we mentioned in the last podcast. So it's probably a collective thing. So I'm guessing there's people out there listening that are going through similar feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that was a good experience.
Yeah, it was good. Like, I feel good.
Yeah.
Now.
Did anything else come up after that, like after releasing that wound or that fear? Did you then have other things sort of showing up that linked back to that? That, you know how sometimes when you're doing that work and then you get shown other things that maybe.
Yeah, I haven't. It's a good question. I haven't, not that I can think of off the top of my head, but I definitely just feel like lighter, and I don't know, like I just feel like it's just that next step in, like you said, stepping into your purpose, and you know, stopping those things holding you back, like what we all have. I think.
That's amazing. And I've actually been having conversations with a few people this week as well, and it all seems to be around you know, they're sort of searching and seeking for their purpose, and like, I feel like there's something more I need to be doing, but I'm not quite sure what it is. So it's like, I think it's such a collective thing at the moment where you know, with all the big shifts and changes that are happening, that it's really pushing people to start taking action for that path, isn't it? Rather than just kind of living, you know, what we've been programmed to do, instead of, you know, stepping into what actually lights us up.
Yeah, it's so true. And I did, when I did my session on energy healing, I spoke about the energy of 2023, and it's all about you know, self-discovery, tapping into your intuition, stepping into your purpose,
Yeah.
like all of that. So it is a collective thing that I think a lot of people are going through because and the past couple of years have kind of prepared us for this.
Yeah, yeah.
And now this is the time. And it, you know, and in that comes a lot of questions
Yes.
come up.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you've got a lot of questions, you can feel a bit lost because you're like, well, where am I? What am I doing? Who am I?
Yeah.
All
And it
those
gets so
things.
overwhelming.
It does. Yeah, but knowing that when you have questions and you don't, that's when you get self-discovery, you know, because you are questioning and
Yeah, I love that. And it's funny, you know how I said to you also during the week that you know, every time I sit down to do my computer work on my phone and like there's just this normal feeling of, oh, there's so much to do. And then, but when I actually sit down to go and do that work, it's like it's all vanished. It's a really weird thing. And I kind of can't articulate it, I guess, because I can't quite find the answer for what it means. But it's becoming really, really strong. So I'm sitting down to do the old work that I normally do, but it's like that's no longer there. It's like it's this void. And I feel like it's going, instead of you doing that, you're meant to be doing this, which is more the work that's aligned with me. And it's really, really strange. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, kind of.
It's like the work that I'm sitting down to do, that there's so much of it because there always is when you're self-employed. But then when I go to do it, it's like, oh, it's not there.
Yeah.
Even though it is, but for some reason it feels like it's not there at that moment. It's very, very strange. It's definitely, I think, that jumping timeline.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I was exactly going to say that. Is it like a timeline jumping thing?
Yeah.
Which is a strong thing happening at the moment too, astrologically as well. But that's exactly what come to mind when you said that.
Yeah. And I think that's what, and it's this super strong intuition, like it's a feeling so deep inside. So, and it's like it's guiding you to go in this direction. So if anyone's having those really strong feelings in the body, like it's guiding you in a direction. So we really need to listen to it at the moment.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what about you? So what's your
so I actually, following up on last week when I had that little incident with that man and the narcissist and blah blah blah. So you know, I guess normally I would sort of let something like that happen and be like, okay, get over it, move on, and just kind of forget about it. Whereas this time it's like, no, I really need to take accountability for what happened, because I've brought that in somehow into my life, through my energy field. There's something within me that brought that in, that's attracted that into my world. So like for like, it's that universal law. So we are a mirror to what we bring in. So you really have to take accountability for what's showing up. So so I did some digging and I was like, okay, so a narcissist, I've had a narcissistic relationship before. So I was getting ready for work the other morning and I just asked, okay, so what is it that is still within me that has brought this situation into my life? And I felt this energy all through the back of my neck and all through my throat. And I recognize that as this old energy, and it's actually come up in healings before, and we've done quite a bit of work on it in intuitive healings as well. And it was linked back to this old narcissistic relationship. So we've definitely released a lot, but obviously there's something that's still there. And I think this is something that's really important with energy work as well, isn't it, Emma? That you know, you can do a lot of the work, but you know, say for example, if you do leave a relationship and it's, you know, there's a resentment there from the other party. So, you know, if they're thinking negative thoughts about you or dark thoughts, that energy is still coming into your field, even though we're not conscious of it. But behind the scenes, there's all these little attacks going on and wedges, and, you know, all of that really does have an effect on, it can have an effect on our mind and the way we think and the way we feel and our energy. Like it's super powerful. So that's why it's really important, isn't it, to do the energy work and to really get to the core of the problem. So I actually made time that afternoon to sit down and do some releasing. So I went in, did we do sort of like quantum energy work. So we go into another energy field, and then we release that part of us and that that energy that's coming in. So it was so intense. Like I actually had some assistance coming in because it was really strong. And the way that the energy was getting pulled out was this way, and my whole body was getting pulled that way, like physically. And it was going over here, and there was trembling, and yeah, it was so intense. But yeah, it was amazing. It was, I think, probably the most powerful healing I've ever had, and it blew my mind away.
And so did you do that on yourself, or did you have?
Yeah. So I know they just seem to be getting super strong every healing I do at the moment, whether it's on myself or on someone else, and it's just that intense, and it just blows me away.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a huge removal. So it's basically removing that energy, removing him, and then doing a really strong protection. So then my field is then protected. So now that energy can't come in anymore. So yeah, so that's really healing those wounds, isn't it? And releasing the trauma.
Yeah.
And then, then that should then stop that pattern that's coming in, and that narcissistic energy. I mean, narcissists are always attracted to empathy energy. So that, is something to always be mindful of. But, when you've got another wound in there as well, that can definitely amplify it. So, so it's been pretty intense and pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So,
and you had like an awful experience, but it's then highlighted that you still had that wound and that energy attached, and it's allowed you to go in and do the work. And that's the important part as well, isn't it? To really sit with that.
Yeah.
Like we were saying before, and allow that energy to release. And
yeah. And that's it. And I think, like you said, it's so easy to just kind of try and not deal with what's happening, and because it doesn't feel good, does it? So when you're going into those old, inner child wounds and that sort of thing, it feels yuck, and it's painful and it's scary. But when you've done that and you've released it, like you it's like it's now cleared that space, hasn't it?
Yes.
So now we both cleared this enormous thing that's been taking up space, and now it allows for something else new to come in. So,
and it is, like you said, it's so powerful energy healing, isn't it? Like how it can really, what it can do.
And it's instant. That's what I love about it. So you can, I mean, I do think that there's a place for psychologists and medical and all of that thing, that side of healing, but something about energy is that it is instant, whereas you could see a psychologist or therapist for years, and you might never get to where you're trying to get to. But with energy healing, you can see it and you can fix it instantly, and it does take some integration time, doesn't it? So what we feel in the quantum field, it does take a bit to integrate into this dimension.
And also into your physical body as well, isn't it? So allowing yourself to take time to rest and hydrate and ground. I really felt after that experience that I really needed to ground. I just had that I really need to ground here. And cleanse my aura as well. Like I really felt like I needed to Palo Santo, and just really, because it can feel a bit up here. You really need to come back down.
I had to go for a walk down the beach and really connect again. And also I felt so tired, like I was wiped out pretty much for 2 days, just felt really tired. But then, again, I think that's that self-care, isn't it? Where you really need to nourish yourself and allow yourself to go through that downtime to heal.
Which is definitely something that I think we're not great at, and something that I've got better at. I feel like you've always been quite good at it. But I've always kind of resisted that, but thinking that it's lazy or it's this or it's that. But it's really, you got to allow yourself to heal.
And I think, and that's that conditioning, isn't it? Like, you know, we were, I guess, brought up to, you know, sort of go, 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 push through. You know, if you feel tired, there's something wrong with you. You can't be lazy, like you said.
Yeah.
So you do, yeah, really fight those natural instincts to, you know, rest. And rest is amazing.
Yeah.
We need to rest.
Yeah.
And that's why meditation is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Quietening the mind. It just allows your body to heal. Well, that's what we know. Sleep in itself is where our body heals, our cells heal, everything heals. So but those things can make you wipe out, like you said. And for me, I also felt that need to get in water. For water is a big one, I think, too.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in the water in the ocean, but I mean, it was -10
Yeah.
degrees. It was really big swell, so I was like, I don't think that's going to feel very good right now.
Just go for a shower.
Yeah.
You can still get in the water.
Oh,
But yeah, but it would be good to know if there's other people out there that are going through similar things. I feel like there probably is. And know that if you are, we've got you. It's all good. And it's, you know, there's, you know, like Kaylee said, it's hard at the time, but you feel so much lighter and freer afterwards, after you've released that.
Yeah. And there are so many different ways to release, isn't there? So I've been asked that a lot too this week. You know, what's the best ways to release and to deal with trauma? And there's so many different techniques to do. So I guess whatever you're drawn to. But I would definitely say energy healing would be my most powerful of all.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Me too. Yeah. It's and like I said, I did that EFT tapping, but that is all around moving energy as well. It's just a different way of moving that energy. So yeah, it's very similar. It's just all energy based. And you know, I think, you know, we've got our physical body that we're so aware of and focus on, but then you've got your energy body that affects your physical body, and then above that you've got your emotional body, and your emotions affect your energy that affects your physical body, and then above that you've got your mental body, which is your, you know, your thoughts affect your emotions, affect your energy that affects your body. So you can get in there and shake things up. You feel a lot better.
Absolutely. And even just like on a really simple way to explain it as well, like when we said grounding, like some of you might not even know what that is, but the worst thing that they ever did was invent shoes, because it puts a rubber sole on the bottom of your feet, so then you can't connect to Mother Earth. And that's where you know, all of this source and energy basically comes from there and above. So if you're wanting to ground, be bare feet on the grass, on the sand, and try and do it every day, because that's just going to connect that energy down for you. And you find, like, you know, if I'm very much in my head and I'm thinking and I'm like, everything's getting a bit overwhelming, you're really up in this energy. Whereas if you think about it, if you want to bring it all back down and calm and relax and, you know, go more into your body, then bring it down through the feet into Mother Earth. It's the most powerful thing of all, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And something so simple.
Yeah.
And just makes you feel so much better. And I think on top of that, you're adding nature as well. So it's even a more bonus, and hopefully the sun's shining, so it's even more of a bonus. So you get so much out of it. But yeah, I was going to say the same thing. If you're up here, to come back down is to ground. It's the most powerful thing you can do. Yes.
Well, was there anything else that you think has come up this week?
I feel like that was what I was drawn to talk about. And like I said, just interesting how it was both around healing, and we didn't say let's do this topic or anything. So this is what happens to us all the time, isn't it, when we talk?
It's all the same experience, and that's why I wonder, you know, how much of it is actually collective. So that means that, you know, we're picking up on this collective energy, and so we're also repeating the same kind of, you know, cycle and isn't it lessons, or we need to heal this particular thing at this particular time. So a lot of it isn't actually in our control.
No, it's something that we're meant to be experiencing and be
Yeah.
going through.
And that's where I guess it is so important to be dropping into the flow and into your intuition. So you're feeling what needs to be happening and coming up at that time, and you're able to sink in and drop into it. Whereas I guess if you are up here and you're so manic with schedules and, all in the mind, you're missing it, aren't you? Yeah. You're not sort of able to flow with what is happening energetically.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of thoughts out there that if you you don't address things, or you don't go in the flow and be guided by your intuition, you'll just keep having the same roadblocks. Like say for you, if you didn't do that work, the energy work, then you might keep attracting those same experiences into your life. So yeah, it's really important to be guided and then to act on it and do what you are guided to do to help heal and move past or move on from that, rather than just go, which was probably me a couple of years ago. Go and just suppress, and you don't have time to look at it, and it just then the same things just keep repeating.
And then you sort of do get these big moments that can cut you off at the knees because they're so big, because you haven't been listening to these little signs down here. So then you have this big monumental experience, and you're like, shit, now I've got to listen and deal with it.
Yeah.
You want to avoid that. You really want to be, listening, don't you? And going, okay, something's come up. I don't like this. I don't want this in my life anymore. Okay, well, let's deal with this. And then, I guess that does go in, and I've probably covered it throughout this anyway, but when people are asking me this week, I don't know where to begin with healing. Where do I start? Well, I guess you just start somewhere, like just pick something that's coming up in your world today, going, I'm not loving this, or this is a pattern that's repeating. Start there. So start going within and seeing, what's actually triggering, and you can feel it in your body if you really sink in, can't you? You can feel where that's stored, and then that's a really good place to start. And obviously that's something that Emma and I can help anyone with as well. There are many people around that can help. So we can't try and do it on our own, because we need to sort of have that help and guidance, don't we?
Yeah, well, you need the tools, and I guess you learn that through other people. It's hard to learn that on your own, and I feel like if you are looking for a healing modality or something like that, like Haley said, just go with what's showing up in your world, because it will show up, and then it'll show up the next day or a week later, or you get another sign. It's like, okay, this is what the healing modality route I'm meant to go down or explore. Or
the universe will always show you what you need to address, and you can always ask. Like I did the other day, I said, what is it that I need to see? And it showed up straight away physically in my body, and instantly I knew what that meant. So and
I do that all the time now too. I ask, and it's just having that time, quietening your mind and just asking. And your higher self, like when you're quiet and you ask questions, your higher self will come in. It's the first thing that comes in, and it might not be what your conscious mind was expecting to come in, but that first thought, we quite often think that's daydreaming or that's whatever, but it's actually your higher self telling you, giving you the answer.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. And the other way to do it, I guess, is writing.
Yes,
like just writing and allow whatever comes out.
That is so powerful.
It's so powerful,
isn't it? I tell everyone to journal. It's the best.
It is. And really that unconscious journaling is really good too, isn't it? Where you're not thinking about what, you're just writing what comes into your mind, and that does take a little bit of practice sometimes to do, but you'll definitely get messages.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's all so powerful. We could talk about this
we
for
could.
days. This is
That's definitely what
lights us up.
this is what lights us up. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But I hope you've enjoyed episode 2.
Yes.
let us know in the comments, and like, share, and subscribe if you do like our channel. And yeah, let us know if any of this resonates or if something's coming up for you.
Yes, much love and have a beautiful week. And we can't wait to hear what's coming up and yeah, what you need to work with.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.